Good morning, fellow orchid lovers. It's Danielle here with a video about my Vandaceous type orchids. So I've been promising this for a couple weeks now. I finally have a moment to just kind of show you what's going on with them. Just basically growth, a lot of growth. Only one of them bloomed for me this year. There's still time, but I think that they have to do some adjusting to the new environment. As you may remember, my Vandaceous gigantea, the one with the white flowers with the pink spots. This is the only one that bloomed for me so far this year. And as you can see, there's her old bloom spike. I burned her pretty badly. I put her in too strong of light when we got here. And you might not really be able to see it too well on the video, but there's a fair amount of sun damage on these leaves. It looks a lot better than it did when I first realized what I had done. You know, I think that I was able to save her in time. But you know, she's growing very large structures still. I love these leaves. I love the stripes on the leaves. I think it's really attractive. She's got another leaf coming. So she's still doing good. She has this one root that just doesn't want to stay in the pot. It's a aerial root. It doesn't have a growing tip on it because it doesn't really get that much moisture. I do keep this towel that is now dry on there and try to, you know, hydrate it every once in a while. And, you know, every once in a while I'll get a growing tip and shoot out some more. But yeah, so as far as her roots are concerned, she doesn't really have a whole lot of growing tips on her roots. Yeah, I don't really see that many, if any. But her roots are hydrating and she's doing good. So we'll see what she wants to do. She already bloomed for me this year, so I was happy with that. And then I promptly burned her. This is, that's the abbreviated name, and I don't remember. I don't think I have the tag in here. Yeah, it's probably one of those tags that got lost. She has some roots growing, as you can see. So she's been busy. These roots that she came with were terrible, and I don't think really hydrate her very well. So I'm glad she's putting out some new roots. She has bloomed, but not for me. I think I'm coming on a year of owning this plant. So I still haven't gotten any blooms from her myself. But as you can see, you know, the lack of good roots has really taken a toll on some of her foliage. It's really desiccated. And then also too, she got a little too much sun, as you can see with the purple here on the tips of her leaves. And she does actually have some burn spots on the other side of her. So I removed her from that strong light. And there's another one right there. Yeah, I burned quite a few of my plants. I just, you know, I mean, I knew I was moving them to stronger light. I just, I should have done it more gradually, but honestly, just the fact that the plants got here with us was like a triumph. So I kind of just threw them on a shelf, and then we had so many things going on that I just kind of chucked water at them whenever I had a moment, and I didn't really investigate too strongly what was going on with them, and this is the result. So, yeah. So I feel bad, but, you know, they're still alive, and they will bounce back. So she's growing a new leaf. She's growing new roots, so she'll be okay. This is my Vandaceous Colossus, the blue one. As you can see, she's still very tiny. I've had her for a few years now. She grows, but she's not getting big, that's for sure. Her new structures, you know, tend to be larger than the old structures. She gets new roots, but, you know, she's not getting very large. I think, you know, we've got several years before we're going to see a bloom on her. She was pretty much a seedling, I think, when I got her. And, yeah, so she has a little bit of purple on her, too. So I gave her a little bit too strong of light as well. But she's grown a new leaf there. She's got some new roots coming, so you know, she managed to survive my ill treatment. This is my other Vandaceous. This is the red one. This one did not bloom for me this year. She did not get as bad sun damage. She was kind of behind a column in the window. So she really didn't get as bad. She still has some yellowing on the leaves, but for the most part, she dodged that bullet. But I mean, the last leaf she gave me was ginormous. Just huge. And like I said, I love the stripes on these leaves. They're so attractive. So she's working on another leaf, and she's working on roots. She's got big root there, and then a lot of her previous roots have growing tips that are coming out. So she's doing really well. But she didn't bloom for me this year. So, but their blooming season is actually much earlier in the year, and we were still at our house on Long Island when she should have bloomed for me. So I can't really attribute her not blooming to the move. I think it was just, I was struggling to give my orchids good light there. I didn't really have that many sources of good light, so I had to really decide which ones I was going to put in the good light and which ones I wasn't. And I tried with her, but yeah, she didn't bloom. So that's okay. There's always next year. This is my one and only true Vanda. This is Sensei Blue. And I have had this orchid for almost 4 years now, I think. Never bloomed for me. Lots of growth. Tried a number of things with this one. When I first got it, it did get the embryo of a spike, which I promptly killed. Because I really didn't know what I was doing when I first started growing. My cat, when I first got it, decided he was going to nibble on the leaves. So there's a number of the older leaves that have this kind of scarring on it because of my cat. I tried putting it outside, hanging it from a tree, and and it liked that, but it got a few burn marks because, you can't 100% put it in a 100% good spot. And yeah, so it got a few burn marks, and yeah, I don't know. She's never been 100% happy with me. But, I try my best. She grows. So, where there's green growth, I'm okay with that. She seems happier here. She gets a fair amount of light. I have her in one of my sunniest spots, and that seems to agree with her. Still no signs of a spike or anything like that, but I think that I set this orchid back a fair amount trying to figure out what she liked. And I finally just settled back on waterculture for her. And as you can see, she's growing some new root tips on some old roots, and then she's got like huge new roots coming out. So that guy looks like he's going to try to escape the pot, but that one hopefully will go down into the water. Aerial roots on Vandas, when they're this chunky, are really hard to keep hydrated. And they don't hydrate at first anyways. Like when they're like this, the water kind of just rolls right off of them, and they don't really turn green very easy. You have to use like lukewarm water to get them to turn green. So it's going to be a little while before those roots will hydrate, but at least she's putting out some decent roots. So we'll see. Maybe down the road, I might be able to take some of my Vandaceous types and maybe, hang them. But, for them to get the best light, they kind of have to be really close to the window. And as you can see, a lot of that real estate's taken up. So, and the higher you get them, the less light, because the sun's higher in the sky. Like you have to have them kind of lower. So we'll see. But I mean, they're doing okay. They're growing, they're green. And unfortunately, my orchids, making them 100% happy is not really a priority right now because there's so much to be done in the house. My focus right now is just to keep them alive until I can really put some thought and effort into making them happy. So alive is good. I'll take alive. If I come up with any brilliant ideas, I will put them into place. Like with my Cattleyas, I did decide to do the semi-hydro with them. And I did actually do that. I put them in semi-hydro. You can see my Encyclia radiata. She is in bloom. And man, do those smell gorgeous. Just beautiful. Walk into the room and there's this beautiful sweet scent. In addition to the light, it gets very warm in this room, and we had some casualties already. So Diane lost 2 of her blooms the other night. At nighttime, I was in the habit of turning the ceiling fan off just because I figure the temperatures drop, it should be okay. But this room actually retains its heat. And so I had 2 blooms suffer for that. So the only time I turn the fan off now is when I'm going to film a video. So kind of sad because these are stunning, stunning blooms that we lost 2 of them. But at least the rest are still doing okay. The other thing that's a little difficult is because of, you know, having to keep them close to the window, and then the spikes grow and then they hit the window. So I keep having to turn the spikes, and then the blooms reorient themselves and they turn towards the light. Like you can see that bud right there is going that way. So the spikes sometimes have like a funky layout to them because, yeah, I have to keep changing the direction of the source of light, and the blooms try to reorient themselves towards the light. And so my spikes aren't really cascading. This one did because I spiked it. I put it, you know, on a little spike there, and I made it grow up instead of down. Like I love the cascade look when they come just straight down like they would naturally. But unfortunately, I think in this growing environment, I'm gonna have to start staking them so that there'll be a cluster like that instead of blooms going in 20 different directions like that one. But yeah, so the collection's doing pretty good. The only casualties were the 2 blooms on Diane. So we're just gonna keep that fan going morning, noon, and night. We're gonna get some pretty hot temperatures today and tomorrow. It's gonna be up in the 80s, close to 90s. So I do have like a window air conditioner that I can plug in over there. You know, the tube just runs to the window. I might have to put that into place if it gets too hot, but I've been running the humidifier and keeping the fan on, and between the humidity and the fan, I've been able to manage the temperatures in here pretty well. So hopefully that won't be necessary. But anyways, those are my Vandaceous types. That's how they're doing. I hope that you enjoyed it. I do grow them all in full water culture, so they have water all the time. I don't give them a ton of water. This is actually a little low, but for the most part, well, you can see where, where that gunk is. That's usually about the water level. And then like this is about a week later. So it drank that much, or it evaporated or whatever, and I'll refresh it. I try to refresh the water every 2 weeks. So this week I think is I'll just add water, and then next week I will dump, rinse, and refresh the water. And that's because I don't want a buildup of salts in the glass, because as the water evaporates, it leaves behind, you know, the fertilizer. The water here is very low TDS, like in the 60s, straight out of the tap. So my tap water, well, it's well water. So my well water is very low TDS. So there's not too many salts in my tap water. But the fertilizer that I use, I don't want a buildup of that fertilizer on the roots and for it to get concentrated and then burn my roots. So I do flush my pots out every 2 weeks. But yeah, I hope you guys are all doing really well, and that you're enjoying your spring/summer and still staying very safe. And I will talk to you all next time.